1. Okra and cowpea trail stew. Ever wonder what kept the Cowboys going after 12 hours in the saddle? It wasn't steak. It was stew. Out on the trail, the cook's kettle was the heartbeat of camp. Bubbling inside was a mix of black-eyed peas, okra, and smoked beef scraps. Humble ingredients turned into survival. The black-eyed peas carried luck and memory from Africa. The okra brought roots deeper than the prairie soil itself. Together, they told a story of endurance. Around that fire, this stew wasn't just dinner. It was belonging. It warmed tired riders and reminded them that home wasn't always a place. Sometimes it was a pot simmering under the stars. Every bite was a mix of grit and grace. Simple, soulful, and strong enough to ride another 100 miles. 2. Molasses-glazed salt pork and collard greens. What if the cheapest food on the trail turned into pure gold? That's exactly what black Cowboys did with salt pork. Cheap, tough, and salty, until they added molasses, vinegar, and wild collard greens. The pork crackled sweet and smoky, the greens soaked up every drop of flavor, and suddenly, a survival meal tasted like Sunday supper. It was food that healed, proof that a little sweetness could turn hardship into comfort. Around the campfire, men leaned in close, the smell of caramelized fat drifting through the night. It didn't matter how hard the day had been. This dish reminded them of family kitchens far away. Out there on the range, flavor was freedom, and molasses was their secret gold. 3. Gullah red rice with salted game bits. What happens when the spirit of the Carolina coast rides west? You get Gullah red rice. Smoky, spicy, and full of story. Black Cowboys carry the memory of rice fields with them, recreating home from whatever they found. Dried peppers, wild game, and handfuls of rice. Cooked slow in a heavy pot, each grain turned red and rich with history. It wasn't just food, it was identity, packed into a tin bowl. Around the fire, they'd pass it around like a shared memory, a taste of the South reborn on the open plains. One bite carried the rhythm of drums, the salt of the sea, and the pride of people who turned survival into heritage. In the middle of nowhere, Gullah red rice was a declaration. We're still here. 4. Sweet potato and pecan ash bake. Imagine lifting a lid from the campfire ashes and finding dessert. That's how black Cowboys made the sweet potato and pecan ash bake. Sliced potatoes layered with pecans, buried under hot coals until caramelized and golden. The air filled with sweet smoke as the scent drifted through camp. It wasn't fancy, it was genius. A few simple ingredients became a warm reminder of holidays and home kitchens they rarely saw. Each bite tasted of earth and ember, sweetness and smoke. It was dessert for the tough, the kind of dish that made cold nights softer. Cowboys might have been miles from home, but this bake reminded them that sweetness could still rise from ashes. 5. Mesquite smoked goat with mustard greens. You could smell this feast long before you saw it. When goat hit the mesquite fire, the whole camp gathered close. Rubbed with black pepper and salt, smoked slow till tender, then served with mustard greens simmered in drippings. This was cowboy barbecue, soul style. The sharp greens cut through the rich meat, creating balance that only tradition could teach. After weeks of beans, goat meant celebration. The smoke curled up into the night like a prayer of thanks. Around the fire, men grinned wide, chewing slow, savoring every bite. This wasn't just dinner, it was proof that even on the frontier, culture didn't just survive. It thrived, one smoky plate at a time. 6. Pumpkin and sorghum skillet bread. No flour? No problem. Cowboys baked with what the land gave. Pumpkin mash, cornmeal, and a drizzle of sorghum syrup came together in a cast iron skillet. Sweet, dense, and hearty enough to ride with. It wasn't bakery bread. It was trail bread. Built to last. Packed with comfort. The pumpkin kept it soft. The sorghum gave it a deep caramel sweetness. Cowboys ate it plain or dunked it in coffee at sunrise, each bite reminding them that simplicity could still taste like love. The crackle of the crust, the warmth of the skillet, this bread carried more than calories. It carried home, tucked right beside a saddlebag. 7. Blackstrap molasses barbecue beef ribs. When beef hit the fire, you knew something special was happening. Ribs were rare, but when Cowboys got them, they made them unforgettable. glazed with blackstrap molasses and pepper brine, roasted low over open flame. Each layer turned smoky, sticky, and rich. Around the fire, laughter and grease went hand in hand. These weren't polished plates, just pure, primal satisfaction. The sweetness of molasses mixed with mesquite smoke created something bigger than flavor. It was joy. The kind of joy that made the long rides worth it. Out there on the prairie, these ribs proved one thing. You don't need silverware to taste heaven. 8. Wild plum and corn dumpling cobbler. Ever taste happiness straight from a campfire pot? That's what wild plum cobbler was. Tart prairie plums stewed with cornmeal dumplings puffing in the heat. Sweet, rustic, and bursting with color. Black cowboys made this with what they could gather, turning scarcity into sweetness. Around the fire, spoons clinked against tin bowls as men grinned through the steam. It wasn't just dessert, it was a break from the hard life, a taste of something rare, joy. The tang of plums, the warmth of corn, the smell of smoke. Together, they told a story of endurance made delicious. On a cold night under the stars, this cobbler was pure warmth in a world of dust. 9. Sorrel-glazed chicken with wild garlic. Tough bird, tougher riders, but a meal soft enough to melt hearts. Trail chickens were stringy and mean, but black cowboys turned them into gold. Braised low with wild garlic and tangy sorrel leaves, the meat fell apart in a glaze of bright, earthy flavor. Sorrel added a lemony tang, garlic mellowed sweet in the pot. The aroma drifted through camp as men gathered close, plates in hand, smiles wide. It was the kind of meal that silenced conversation for a while. Too good for words. Every bite carried the balance of hardship and home. The Wild West was rough, but this chicken? Pure comfort cooked with patience and pride. 10. Cowboy Gumbo Zerbies. What if one pot could tell the whole story of the Wild West? This was it. Cowboy Gumbo Zerbies. A gumbo of many greens, mustard, sorrel, collards, turnip tops, simmered with smoked meat in a dark, rich broth. It was survival, nutrition, and heritage in one pot. Born from Creole roots, carried westward by black cowboys, this gumbo fed entire camps. Around the fire, every spoonful was history. Bold, smoky, and full of life. It wasn't just food. It was community. It said, we made it through another day, together. And as the night cooled over the plains, the sound of spoons scraping tin bowls became its own kind of music, the rhythm of the trail, seasoned with soul.